Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. It's great to have you back on the channel. The show's being recorded for Sunday, November 13th, 2022. As always, these shows are provided for entertainment purposes only. So all the information I share with you comes directly through my guides, angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history. So for entertainment purposes only. Also, for those that need to reach me, it's very easy. Go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the Book a Session tab. Very straightforward from there. We're still running the contest. Every time we reach a new level of 1,000 subscribers, we do garner a winner from the comments in these shows. As long as you start your comment off with the word love, we know you want to be entered in the contest, and you need to be a subscriber to the channel. And we do select the winner from the show. We're actually cross over to the next 1,000 level subscribers. And I think now we're headed towards 32,000 subscribers. Also, a quick note, all the questions that we answer on these shows come directly from our community board on our YouTube channel. We do put our request on all Mondays to get questions for these shows. I think we had 500 questions again. My wife does go through them. Selected, I think, this week 60 questions that would be answered, and we try not to repeat questions if at all possible, or include questions if they come up a lot. Some of them are repeats, but we try to kind of help those. If same kind of a question is coming up, we try to repeat the answer. So trying to strike a balance there so it's helpful for everybody. Now, I wanted a couple of quick little housekeeping things. We had an election this week, and those who've watched the channel know that we've given predictions on a number of races across the nation. And, you know, it's important to actually bring forward a couple of important elements to the elections that occurred this week. I know last week, if you watched the show, my spiritual team said that we would have to wait for the answers. It'd be some time. We know there's a runoff election going to happen here between Warnock and Walker. We know about that. But it's important that we all recognize a few factors that have been kind of destined and talked about on these shows. One was the fact would be a blue wave. And in fact, my team really does acknowledge the fact that there was a blue wave. Blue wave actually kind of knocked down what was supposed to be a definite red wave. It did not happen. We also saw a lot of groups come out, like Gen Z voters and other minorities, unlike they ever had in any other election, which is quite remarkable. We also saw the presidential party now is aligned with the elected party in the midterm. So, you know, a lot of times you see it flip-flop, right, over the years where the presidential party is not the same party that wins in the midterms. So we're seeing a strong alignment of Democrats now with President Biden and the Democratic Party. So also another very big outcome. You know, it's important that we all stay optimistic and we move forward in kind of grace and understand that the universe has a plan. And I want everybody to still stay optimistic about the results of the election. I see a lot of very positive signs from the way the election has gone so far. So keep the faith. That's very, very important. The other thing I want to mention is that the way I work with my team, my extended spiritual team, and you hear me talk about all the time on these shows, is that when I ask a question, they actually go out and they reference the Akashic records. So it doesn't matter whether the information, let's say, on the forecast of an event or an election is done 10 months out, 7 months out, a month out, a week out. My point is that if forecasts, for example, are done 10 months out or a year out from election, that information principally doesn't change. And it's important that, you know, my team references the Akashic records. So the Akashic records are the record of everything past, present, and future. So I think that's an important point to make because I know sometimes emotion gets wrapped up in a lot of life events. And many times people do get wrapped up in emotion as you get closer to an event. But in principle, that should not change the answer when your guides, angels, are accessing the Akashic records. So I thought that was an important point just to kind of bring up and lay it out in a way that's helpful for everybody. So, you know, support that emotion's not a factor when you're communicating real time with your guides and angels, your extended spiritual team. They're referencing the Akashic records, and that's where the information comes from. So all good. I'm going to start off with this top 60 countdown right now. We always start off with a mediumship. And many people this week asked for John F. Kennedy. Now, we brought him through before, but I thought it was very appropriate based on the fact that we had the midterm elections. So I did bring him through this morning in great detail, and I'm going to read back word for word. I scribed exactly what he said. So, question 60 in the countdown. Does John F. Kennedy have a message for us? The world is going through a time of massive change where individuals are fighting for human rights across the globe. Many countries are aligned to individuals that are self-serving and trying to collapse government around them and coalesce around extremely limited rights for human beings. Trust that the universe will move forward in a democratic way and align with everyone's higher good. When I was on the planet, there were many individuals and groups that fought me on basic human rights and wanted to denounce my character. As we live life, we do not always see the good we are doing around us and the effect we have on each other. Stay steadfast in your fight to achieve a better outcome in this world. We have a large number of spiritual heavyweights on our side, steering the world's nations and countries towards a better outcome for everyone. Stay strong in the belief that you count and everyone's efforts either contribute to a better outcome for everyone or detract from civility for the planet and the universe. I tried to demonstrate the power of commitment to task when I was on the planet, and yes, I made some mistakes. We all do as humans. However, it is the way you pick yourself up and move forward that makes all the difference. Fight for what you know is right, and it will be achieved. Go in peace, love, and solitude for a stronger world. And with that, he signed off. So wonderful message from JFK. Always enjoy bringing through really a lot of deep wisdom with JFK, still on the other side, and kind of fighting for really human rights and a lot of goodwill and peace here on Earth. So I congratulate him for that. Number 59 on the countdown. Will Dianne Feinstein retire in the very near future? I see yes, within about the next 2 years. By the time the next election cycle comes up, 2024, looks like she'll be in line for retirement. 58. Will those who participated in the January 6th insurrection be indicted, brought to trial, and convicted, as well as never being allowed to hold political office again? That's an absolute yes. So we're going to see about a dozen individuals across government that will be indicted and removed from their office. So, and this aligns with what my team had told me even months ago, that it was going to be about a dozen individuals who are going to have this happen to them. Yes. 57. When will the Republican control of Florida ease so the Democrats can win there again? Not going to significantly ease up for about 4 years, unfortunately. I do see it on a trajectory for becoming, say, more democratic, but we've got a good 4-year run here before it starts to loosen up. 56. What do you see in Stacey Abrams' future? A run for the Senate, it looks like, and it looks like she'll eventually win. So congratulations to her. 55. Hello, Sterling. I notice in the questions people post frequently that so many folks seem to be seeing orbs, spirits, ETs, and having other paranormal experiences. I'm wondering if this has always been going on, but we had not known about it or discussed it. Is this paranormal activity increasing? Well, let's put it this way. I don't know if it's increasing, but it's being brought to the forefront. Many more people are sensitive to it, and we have a lot of plethora of new camera technology. A lot of these instances, paranormal events, can be seen with infrared photography, and many cameras, like the Apple iPhone, are sensitive to infrared spectrum, so it's easier to see orbs. It's a collection of things. People are more aware, looking for it, and increased technology here is really bringing it to the forefront. Okay, 54 in the countdown. What is the future politically for Beto O'Rourke? I've seen this before, but he'll be a member of Congress, and he may in fact be replacing Ted Cruz. So some sort of a resonance around him definitely getting into Congress and then replacing Ted Cruz. 53. I live in Iowa, and I want to know what the thing was in Van Meter, Iowa in 1903. The entire town said it was a winged monster. The mystery still seems unsolved on what it really was even today. I get this was a mutation of an animal, a mutation of between a winged creature, a bird and a bat, but some mutation here. So it's not extraterrestrial, but a very strange mutation, deformity that caused the sighting. 52. Hi, Sterling. Will we ever get rid of the Electoral College? Yes, within 10 years. So it's going to be a little while. I'm going to have to work on it, but within 10 years, you'll start to see we'll get rid of the Electoral College. 51. I understand that we are spiritual beings from heaven's realm. We incarnate every 80 to 100 years, and further, our purpose for these incarnations is spiritual growth. My question is, does this cycle go on for infinity? Well, let's put it this way. Our spiritual energy goes on for infinity. You don't have to reincarnate. It's all up to you. There's free will on the other side. But many spirits decide to reincarnate to kind of advance their learning, advance their energetic level. So energy does not go away. Your spirit does not go away. But that cycle does not have to go on for infinity. It's up to you. I think the question is about reincarnating. Yeah. So you don't have to reincarnate. It's free will, up to you. 50. I'm trying to follow your advice and put a clear and consistent vision out to my guides to help me manifest the future I want. My question is, can I put out more than one vision at a time? For example, a vision for my work life and one for my family life, or should I focus on one thing at a time? Well, when you manifest, you align yourself with the 3 C's to be clear, concise, and consistent. And I always tell people when you manifest, you clearly define some sort of a perfect outcome for you at a very specific point in the future. So to answer this question, it's important that you don't create, let's say, a perfect outcome in the future that conflicts, that has conflict. So if one is, I want to manifest a certain large company in this area of the world, but then you have a completely different thing you're trying to manifest. If they conflict, that will be confusing to the other side. So it does require some specificity about what you're trying to manifest. But you can have multiple things you can manifest. My key point here, as long as they're complementary and you abide by the 3 C's, be clear, concise, consistent, should be okay. 49. Can you please answer this 50-year-old mystery? There was a girl in my 6th grade class one day. Her 14-year-old brother walked out the door to go to our school bus stop 2 blocks away. He never made it and never got to school that day. He was never heard from again. Please, can you finally tell me what happened to him? Is he still alive? And will the police ever have any answers? His name is Darren Hillis from Virginia. So this happened, let me see here, 50 years ago. The name is Darren Willis. Well, I'm sorry to say, if any of the family members are listening, it's always hard to hear these things, but it does look like he was abducted. It does not look like he is alive, and it looks like his life ended, very shortly after that abduction. So within a day or two. I'm very sorry to have to lay that out there, but it's unfortunate, but this child was abducted very quickly sometime before he got to the bus stop. And actually, they're telling me he could have been abducted right from the bus stop. Something about that. Right. Sorry for the family. A lot of love and light to the family out there, and hope that provides some sort of information. This was a male individual, a man that abducted a child. And I feel even 50 years later, there's somebody that saw something here. Yeah. Okay. 48. What does Bigfoot shapeshift into? How many different entities does Bigfoot look like, and why? Well, the Bigfoot is an extraterrestrial, and they actually shapeshift from an extraterrestrial form into a Bigfoot form, or Sasquatch. The reason they do that is they're trying to mask their appearance within the wilderness. So that's really, they look very much like Pleiadian, so they're very tall. Just a lot of Bigfoot, Sasquatch are very tall. So they shift back and forth. They really shift into the Bigfoot incarnation, if you will, so that they can try to become more secretive and so people can't detect them. But they go back and forth in those two forms. 47. Do you see a cure or treatment for young adults and children that have spina bifida? Yes, research is going on right now in this area using gene editing technology, CRISPR technology. Those who watch the channel know I reference this a lot. But I'm being told that there's actually good science going on right now regarding studying this. They've identified the specific genes that cause this, and there'll be a good outcome here within 10 years. 46. My cat named Cow is black and white and often registers as a person on my camera security system. There are other cats that look almost exactly like him in the neighborhood that always register as an animal. He is the only cat that will register on multiple cameras as a person. Does he have some type of human spiritual energy connected to him that's causing the camera to register him differently than other animals? No, I don't get it's a spiritual thing. I get it's a technology-based artifact. So something about his coloring or the sequence of the colors on the cat are triggering the electronics. It's not spiritual. It's an algorithm thing based on the way the camera is working. 45. It seems Australia and America are gearing up for war in Northern Australia, bringing in long-range B-52 nuclear bombers and renovating Pine Gap. The American analysts are saying China would be ready in 2025 to 2027 to invade Taiwan, and this would start things off in the Pacific theater. This is one of our investigative journalism programs called Four Corners. What do you see coming from this area of the world? Well, unfortunately, I do see a threat coming from China in that time frame, but I also see a very strong response from the world and NATO. Now, I know Australia is not technically part of NATO, but for some reason, I do see NATO, along with other countries, jumping in to try to supplant that, to prevent that big conflict. So something is going to start up in that time frame, but it appears that many of the world's countries are going to come together to try to squelch it. So, yeah, I see a good outcome there, but there's going to be some conflict. 44. Sterling, I recently had a melanoma cut from my arm. Will there be a machine like an MRI or CAT scan that can detect melanoma, on the whole body? I fear the naked eye does not adequately catch melanoma spots on all parts of the body. You know, that's already started. So I'm getting this from my team right now, and also I have some knowledge of this, but artificial intelligence technology is now being integrated into all sorts of scanning technology, CAT scan, MRI, and the artificial intelligence technology can look through billions, if not trillions, of artifacts to try to determine from an image whether there's cancer there. So yes, very soon you'll start seeing more and more integration of AI technology and then much faster real-time results, more accurate results. It's all coming. 43. My question is, are the messages you receive from guides in stone? Can outcomes be changed through the power of prayer or shifts in energy or choices we make? Well, prayer is very helpful, but remember, everything aligns to your life path blueprint. So if it's on your life path blueprint in the Akashic records, yes, you'll be able to change destiny. Prayer always helps you, helps those around you. It's a very powerful energy, and it is a very healing energy in many ways. It heals emotions, physicality. So as long as it's aligned with your life path blueprint, certainly prayer is very effective. And I wouldn't say everything's cast in stone per se, but a very strong alignment to the Akashic records. So it's all part of your life path. It is helpful energetically. It's cleansing and raises your vibration, helps you, helps those around you. So a lot of good benefits. But if it's all on your life path, it'll certainly have a material effect. Hopefully that helps. 42. Hi, Sterling. I feel like I can hear and talk to my dog, Teddy. Is this a channeling of sort or a stronger imagination? Well, All animals communicate through the same channel that angels and guides communicate through, and family members are crossed over. So very easy. So whoever asked this question, you're actually connecting with that universal channel that works through the imagination section of the brain, creative side of the brain. And yes, you're actually communicating with your dog. Congratulations. Absolutely. Okay, 41, the countdown. I woke up at 3 a.m. and found my dog sitting almost at attention, staring at the top of the stairs. Sometimes when I'm walking him, he looks at the woods and growls. Does he see ghosts, or are they just animals that I can't see? Yes, these are individuals that you can't see, but your dog is sensing in spirit. Absolutely. All animals can see the spiritual realm very easily. 40. Scott Perry won re-election in Pennsylvania's 10th district. Is there still more to come out regarding his participation promoting the big lie as well as Italygate? For entertainment purposes only, yes, there are new records will be coming out aligning him to the big lie as well as to Italygate. Yes, which was obviously false information regarding that a foreign country was involved in manipulating the election. Yes, more information is coming out. 39. Will we ever find out what happened to the professor, nuclear scientist, mathematician, and writer, Dr. Enrique Garibay Ruiz, who disappeared from Los Angeles in 2017? Dr. Enrique Garibay Ruiz in 2017. Well, unfortunately, he was robbed at gunpoint. It looks like an abduction, a car abduction. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Now here it looks like there will be information. This may be a cold case right now, but there will be information coming forward within 1 year's time around this case. They'll talk about who abducted him at gunpoint, and then what happened to the vehicle he was in. So this may have been a rental vehicle or something. So information. So the answer is yes. Within a year, the authorities will find out what happened to him, who abducted him, and unfortunately, I don't see him on the planet right now. But yeah, very, very unfortunate situation. 38. Do you see Andrew Cuomo getting back into politics? Yes, they're telling me within 2 years he will. 37. About 10 years ago, after returning home from a long work trip, I decided to drive to the barn where I boarded my horses. On the way there, I ran into a very thick cloud of fog on the dirt road to the barn. As I arrived, I noticed the property was no longer surrounded by the wood fence and cattle gate, but instead had a very tall wrought iron fence and gate installed. Yet my key to the lock still worked. My horses were fine, and everything else at the barn seemed okay. On the drive back home, I once again went through the thick cloud of fog. When I got home, I asked my partner when the new fence had been put up, and she said nothing had changed as far as she knew. The next day, we both went to the barn so I could show her the new fence. But when we got there, the old fence and cattle gate was still in place. I knew what happened wasn't a dream, so what was it that I experienced? This is a real-time glimpse into the future, a bit of an alignment with the Akashic Records. So it looks to me like that wrought iron fence is something that will in fact be installed in the future. So getting a glimpse of the future. A little bit of kind of moving through a little bit of a time warp, if you will. Whenever you sometimes connect with the Akashic Records very strongly, that can happen. So that's a very strong spiritual experience, but that's an event coming up in the future. 36. Is Elon Musk being blackmailed by people, which explained why he's been doing a 360 with his comments, and would explain his general actions recently? I get he's beholden to new investment groups, and those new investment groups, some of them are offshore, as we know, are really trying to manipulate the messaging and the decisions being made. 35. How can we discern the nature of an entity contacting us? Well, we simply say a quick protective prayer, nothing evil, but just ask to stand in supreme protective white light. And if there are any spirits there that are not of the light, be cast back into the light. Don't come back to that location, and ask that only the highest order of the world and the one source come forward and communicate with you. So, quick protective prayer. The other way to discern whether individuals that or entities that are contacting you are in your best interest is to take the information. If you can validate the information to your higher good, it means something, it's something meaningful information, you can validate it. That's another way to determine and to guarantee that you're communicating with entities, spirits, guides, angels that have your best interest at heart. 34, hello, Sterling. When Ron DeSantis won with such a large number in Florida, the first thing my intuition felt was this was Russian interference. Ironically, as the right has been pushing election fraud, I've always felt it was the Republicans who were using Russians to help tamper with our elections. And it's all smokescreen invented by Putin to cause distrust in American elections. Is Russia targeting Florida and southern states with Republican control to affect elections? Well, for entertainment purposes only, and a simple answer, the word is yes. And I can't go any further based on YouTube guidelines for information that can be shared on these channels. But the answer is yes. The suspicions are correct. And I'm also getting the federal government is very aware of it, and investigations are actually already started. 33. Hi, Sterling. What can you tell us about the Emerald Tablets? Emerald Tablets. I get this information was supplied by extraterrestrials. This information had teachings, text, art, even some reference to music. So multidimensional, the information was contained in these tablets, but was provided by extraterrestrials and then handed down through a number of civilizations. So it looks like the tablets are real, and the information in there is real as well. 32. My question is about archangels, angels, and spiritual guides. Are the archangels all seem to have male names, but do these beings really have a gender? Same question about our guides and birth angels. Are they male or female? Well, you know what's interesting? Everything in the universe has male and female energy. So it could be male, but have a lot of female energy, or vice versa. Now, on the other side, many of the angels, guides, birth angels, archangels, archangels all get assigned a name. I find when I communicate with the other side, a lot of entities on the other side, angels and guides, don't really go by names, which is kind of interesting. So there's some sort of a spiritual, energetic, real-time communication that takes place so people understand who each other are. Names assignment is kind of a human thing. Now, this individual is asking about male or female. The reason I'm making the point about names is that humanity assigns names to archangels and angels and guides. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're all male energy or all female energy. So there's really, think about more in terms of a universal spiritual energy in the universe, but humanity is kind of, intercede a bit to try to color it a little bit to make it seem more male or female. So hopefully that helps. 31. Will the companies that profited through price gouging eventually be penalized over and above the corporate taxes they're going to pay? Yes, federal government is already looking at extra assigned taxes or penalties for a number of major corporations in the oil and gas industry, retail. Yes, so that's all coming. I'm going to call it a way to kind of re-level out the playing field so that a lot of the gouging that was done, these corporations will actually pay back into the government. And a lot of that money then will be moved out into society to help with various programs. 30. Will any of the midterm election results change due to recounts or candidates being arrested? Yes to all the above. 29. Hi, Sterling. Well, my now adult son was a toddler. He spoke of aliens visiting him and taking him into space. At one point, he was in the bedroom alone talking to them. As I entered the room, he was holding up his blanket saying he was going to catch one of the aliens. Was he interacting with aliens as he has so many times claimed? His name is Joshua. No, I'm getting these were an semblance of his guides and angels, not extraterrestrials. So, in fact, and ETs don't really interact that way, but these were his angels and guides kind of having some fun with them. 28. Hello, Sterling and team. I've always sensed something special about Tibet. Is there a gateway there to somewhere or somewhere else off the planet? Is this the reason China seeks to dominate them? Yes, there are several portals in Tibet. It's a very blessed place. It's a place with a lot of terrestrial and extraterrestrial activity, as well as other spiritual entities. Although not all of China understands that. So I think the way the person asked the question, is that why China's after it? No, they view it as a very sacred place, but don't necessarily understand that all the portals are there as well. 27. So much money was spent in this last campaign cycle between voter suppression and gerrymandering. It seems we can't move on with a fair and working government for the people and by the people. Do you finally see campaign reform being passed by the Congress before 2024? I do see a number of edicts passed. Well, I'm going to call them laws, starting to limit PACs, for example, political action committees, PACs, and other groups that are highly functional, or the way corporations are able to contribute. So I do see more of an alignment coming as we get towards the 2024 election, and then new laws passed after 2024 as well. So it's all coming, but it's going to be a bit of a process here as it rolls out. Okay, question 26. Hello, Sterling. A recent video of my son shows a white mist dancing over his head as he is walking around a campfire. He has not been feeling well. Perhaps he has long COVID. And I've asked the angels to help him in the restoration of his good health. What did I see? Well, his angels and guides are absolutely helping him with his the restoration of his health. But I'm being told what you saw was an optical effect in the camera. So you weren't actually seeing his angels and guides in that mist, but they're absolutely helping him. So it's an optical effect in the camera. Okay, 25 in the countdown. My granddaughter was around 3 years old when she was happily playing with her aunt, my daughter. She suddenly burst into tears, threw herself into my daughter's arms, and cried, "You're not my mom, right?" It was totally out of the blue and nothing like it ever happened again. What was this all about? Well, your granddaughter, I think you said she was 3 years old, felt a very strong connection to her spiritual team before she came down here to Earth. So it was that alignment with her spiritual team, which she felt was like her extended motherhood, if you will, and that's where that came from. So, very often young children are still highly connected to the other side and will bring forth all sorts of experiences, not just something like this that resonates that maybe their mother's on the other side, but even things like reincarnations where people understand they died in the Civil War battle and they're only 5 years old and have all the details. So actually very common experience, even though this seems quite strange. But your granddaughter felt a real connection to her spiritual team still, before she came down. 24. Is it possible the past lives karma would play out in this life? For example, if somebody killed someone in another life, would they be killed by that person in this life? No, karma are actually the group of lessons you decide to come down here and learn. That really constitutes your life path blueprint. So no such thing happens if somebody killed you in another lifetime. For example, part of your new lesson is you come down here and you kill them. It doesn't happen that way, no. 23. Hi, Sterling. How is Singapore in the next 5 years politically? I see it continuing very strong politically, very strong domestically, very strong economically. Still maintained to be one of the most stable, democratic, strong economies in the world. So congratulations to Singapore, but it looks like it's still going to be fairly strong and stable for the next 5 years. This person, I think, asked for the next 5 years politically. Politically, it looks like it's going to hold up as a strong democracy for me. 22. I am sure in the future, CRISPR technology will correct Down syndrome caused by a mutated gene in vitro. Will it ever be used to correct the gene mutation that caused Downs in people who are already born with it, like my granddaughter? Yes, within 20 years, you'll see CRISPR technology be very adaptive in a very strong way to try to curtail some of the symptoms of Down syndrome in people that are already here on the planet. So that's one of the outcomes of CRISPR technologies. Could take a little while to develop. So out the outskirts, no more than 20 years, could be a little faster. You're gonna start to see good CRISPR technology in this area. 21. All my life, I felt I didn't belong anywhere, always different, always apart. I have suffered from internal turmoil, depression, and anxiety for most of it, hiding away at work and at home. I have given to everyone that is in need, and I have a great deal of empathy for everyone in my life. My question is, am I destined to feel this pain for my entire life and never be at peace or feel I'm deserving of love? What am I doing wrong? Well, these are all resonating with the most important lessons we all come down here to learn. And those are the lessons of self-love and taking back personal power. So whoever asks this question, there's a mindset change here that can go on immediately, even as of today, whenever you hear this, is to start moving empathetically and powerfully towards self-love and taking back personal power. Whoever this individual is, I feel like you have a lot of upside opportunity. I know the way this question got written is you've had a year, a lifetime of just, tragedy and depression. But it's interesting that my team is telling me to tell you, whoever asked this question, that change for the better can all start today. So hopefully that makes sense and that helps. 20. Kroger is a large grocery chain that has made huge profit gains and is now trying to buy Albertsons. Will this corporation succeed with these takeovers? Well, Albertsons is the question, right? Albertson owns Safeway, Vons, and Pavilions, and it looks like within the next 12 months, that merger will take place. So looks like the roadmap has already been set up. They may have already made some inroads to try to make that merger happen. And so like I said, we have Safeway, Vons, Pavilions. They're all part of Albertsons, will then merge into Kroger. Looks like my team's telling me it's probably over the next 12 months it's going to happen. Okay. Oh, they're saying it might start in 12 months and then might take 12 to 24 months to complete. Okay. 19. Hello, Sterling and team. My question is, do your guides see more offshore wind farms for alternative energy sources in the future? Yes, absolutely. Even more than there are right now off the coast of Europe, certain parts of Europe, and also off the coast of the US and other parts of the world. So offshore wind farms are wind farms that are installed like in bodies of water, where they can pick up much better, much faster wind speeds. So yeah, I actually do see, my team does see many more offshore wind farms being built. 18, Dominion voting machines have reportedly been having issues this week in several states, including New Jersey and Arizona. Can your guides please tell us why this is suddenly happening? And if this was due to human intervention, will the perpetrators be found? Well, yes, I can certainly say that in some instances, there were some machine malfunctions. That's all I can say in terms of abiding by YouTube guidelines. But there's a few malfunctions out there, but I do believe they'll be uncovered, corrected, taken care of. 17. Sterling, you say you see your spirit guides. What do they look like? I've heard from other mediums that many guides do not look human form. Is that true? Well, many of my guides and angels, they do take on human form. So they can take on any form they want. So they do look like people or philosophers. When I'm talking with people that were famous people from history, they look like themselves. A lot of the angels and guides look like humans. They look like people. And so, it's analogous. Whenever I get together with my team, it's like sitting around a very large conference room meeting. Even when I get together and I'm reading on somebody else, their team will join us kind of in a large conference room meeting. So for me, it takes on a lot of very human characteristics. I can see them clearly, and everybody works differently, but that's the way that they felt comfortable in working with me, and I felt comfortable in working with them. So very true. 16. My husband passed 1 month ago under traumatic circumstances. As I was returning from gathering his medical records, I was stopped at a red light, and out of nowhere in heavy traffic, a line of large bubbles appeared and flowed past my windshield. They were unaffected by moving traffic and did not pop. They just disappeared. I looked at other drivers to see if anyone had seen them too, and no one appeared to notice them. Was that a sign for me? Yes, absolutely. This was a sign from your loved one, your husband. Absolutely. And congratulations for witnessing it. That's important. When loved ones provide a sign from us from the other side, it's also important that we see it and acknowledge it. So I can validate for you. Your husband's very happy that you brought that question forward, because that's like a double validation that he's trying to get across to you, tell you he really loves you. And in some respects, in a funny way, your husband's like, what else do I have to do? Or put a bunch of bubbles across your windshield. So that's a wonderful way for your husband to acknowledge his presence from the other side to you. 15, is Darwin's theory of evolution correct, or is it an idea created to understand the world around us because they have yet to understand the universe? Well, unfortunately, it's not really accurate. And for those that watch the show know that many of us, if not all of us, are starseeds. Extraterrestrials had a lot to do with planting the planet here and life on the planet. So yeah, that evolutionary story in Darwin's theory is really not quite accurate. 14, the U.S. Intelligence Department was supposed to release a UFO report to Congress by October 31st. The report is still not released. What is causing the delay? I get several governmental groups are infighting, and the groups are infighting because there are certain groups that want to release the report with conclusions that none of it's accurate. So that's where the fighting's coming in. It's not so much, let's say, a complete redaction of the report, but the agencies are fighting to say, no, we just want to dismiss it all and say it's not real, which is same thing that's happened, I think, when the 1960s, when some of the reports came out. However, the report will be released within a few months here, and it will contain very substantive information validating UFOs. It will. 13, my daughter woke up a few months back and told us she saw a spaceship behind her house. She was so adamant it was a spaceship hovering just over the house behind us. She described it to us, her teacher at school, her tutor, etc. I believe there's alien life, and I believe she thinks she really saw something. But we live in a suburban area. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that they would have made themselves visible to her. What do your guides think? Was it a vivid dream, astral travel, or something she saw? Thanks in advance. This appears to be an optical effect looking through a window of some kind. So a little bit of a vivid imagination for your daughter. Is your daughter? Not an actual extraterrestrial ship. Now they do appear to people, but it's more meaningful. This is not an extraterrestrial ship. It looks like it's some sort of optical effect looking through a window, they're telling me. 12, can your team explain how sage, used for cleansing a person or space, and Palo Santo, holy wood that cleanses by removing negative energy, really works when burning them in a home or other space? Good question. My team tells me that what these do, when you burn these substances, they align the human senses in a way. So they sharpen the human senses in a way that allows them to almost stand more perfectly in a loving environment, and then defend off anything that's low-level energy. So it has less to do, let's say, with spirits smelling the energy, but it has more to do with the heightened senses that it creates in us, that then allows us to be stronger in that area and then fend off lower level energy. Interesting. So that's what they're telling me to tell you. 11, I'm wondering if tick-borne illnesses are the cause of diseases such as MS, Parkinson's, fibromyalgia, etc. No, not tick-borne. My guide's saying they genetically evolve. It's part of our life path. So they're not tick-borne illnesses, no. 10, throughout the world, there are stories of black-eyed children that have to be invited into one's home, and once invited, cause havoc, and, according to some, leaving death in their wake as well as destruction. What are these creatures? These are actually myth and urban legend. So these black-eyed children don't actually exist, but it looks like it's come out of a number of newspaper articles, magazine articles, could be entertainment product, TV shows or something. But this is something that is urban legend and myth. 9, more than 16,000 people have allegedly disappeared in Alaska over the decades. Any insight into where many of these people have disappeared to? I'm sure exposure animals are part of this, but do you see any of these disappearances having any paranormal connections? Yes, a handful of them have paranormal connection to extraterrestrials being abducted, but this person calls out 16,000 people. The abductions for me are a handful of people, 10, 20, so a very small percentage. The rest of them looks like they had a fate due to environmental conditions, whatever environment they are, very severe environment, animals, and other human beings. So, it's unfortunate to see that many people disappearing, but the number in paranormal is quite small. 8. One of my favorite YouTube dog channels has a dog that's been diagnosed with gracilis muscle contracture, a very rare disease affecting muscles. There's only one person globally doing research, and he has only seen 6 cases. Eventually, the dog won't be able to walk. Do you see any cure or treatment for this sweet dog? Will CRISPR technology help pets as well as humans? Whatever this is, it appears that this ailment can be helped quite a bit right now through Reiki healing, through acupressure, maybe acupuncture, massaging techniques. But it looks like if this is related to like a muscle contraction and extended leg muscle or something, I don't know what this is all about, but it looks like there's things right now that can help. And yes, CRISPR technology down the road will help in this area. But this animal, this person asking about this question from their YouTube channel, there's some things right now they can do. So hopefully they'll reach out. It's interesting. And my wife had brought up a wonderful channel on YouTube that we talked about a week or two ago called 4 Paws Acupuncture, all spelled out. So it's very possible that if she's listening, there might be a connection that can be made here with 4 Paws Acupuncture to also help this animal. The universe works in mysterious ways, so I'm just a conduit. That's all. 7, I had a vision or dream. I woke up and saw symbols streaming by my face and a window, like you might see dust streams in the air. I knew it was a message, but didn't know what the message was. I felt great, but do you think it was a coded language of some sort? Please help me. Many individuals can experience this type of a thing. Many times, this means you're getting close to getting close to the Akashic records. A lot of times, streaming symbols are something meaningful where it makes sense for you to kind of explore getting access to the Akashic records, developing that skill. But very common when a lot of symbols start streaming at you. That's usually you're getting close to the entrance, like the Akashic records. So it's a good idea to kind of explore that more thoroughly. 6, hi Sterling, will student loan forgiveness be stopped indefinitely, or will Biden's team win the appeal? Yes, the Biden administration will win the appeal. It will eventually get paid out. Student loan forgiveness will eventually happen. It's on a good uphill trajectory, if you will. Gonna have to kind of fight through a couple of these appeals and court challenges, but it'll eventually get there. Yes. 5. When I was little in Mexico, I started floating off the ground, and my sister grabbed me by my ankles and pulled me back down to the floor. What was that? This was an extraterrestrial encounter. It's almost the start of an abduction. So I'm going to make the assumption here, if you were floating 2, 3, 4 feet off the ground and your sister pulled you down, that's the starting of an abduction experience by ETs, and congratulations, your sister prevented that. Very rare that it happens that way, but that was the start of an abduction. 4, I struggled with chronic depression all my life, and I understand this leaves a person at a low vibrational level. Does being in such a low state of mind affect a psychic or intuitive tarot reader, their ability to read me for future events in such individuals as myself? Well, let me answer it this way. If the psychic or medium is separate from you, we're talking about a separate individual, and they're trying to read you, that really won't affect them that much. Now, you may be more closed down. That's very true. It makes it maybe more of a challenge, but it won't stop them from reading you, communicating with your guides and angels, reading the Akashic records. Vice versa, if you're trying to read yourself and you're highly depressed, yeah, it will close down that communication channel. That's very true. Number 3 in the countdown. Do our loved ones know the time of death of our loved ones still on earth? Do they look forward to joining up with them again in spirit? Yes, interestingly enough, for those that are in heaven already, they actually have good access to the timelines and when their loved ones on earth will be joining them, what the time frame is when they'll join them. And that's the reason that many times when somebody's getting ready to pass and your guardian angels start to really escort you across, your loved ones are there to greet you as well. So yeah, that timing is known by the other side. Remember, that dimension in heaven moves faster than the speed of light, which is why a lot of people can't see it, but they have great access to the timelines here on earth, and they know exactly when people are going to cross. Okay, and the last 2 questions on the countdown. I always make notes now beforehand so I can keep it all straight. The last 2 questions I'm going to give for you right now. So number 2 on the countdown, do you see anything coming up this week? It looks to me, obviously very strong alignment here that 45 is going to make a presidential run announcement. More challenges and recounts for the November 8th election, still going to be ongoing. You're going to find out about some new ones. Russia intervention still, and some sort of a grain disruption that's been going back and forth, and NATO got involved. Looks like Russia's going to try to stall the grain shipment, NATO getting back in again. New volcanic activity, it looks like in the Indian Ocean for me. This is sort of volcanic activity, and wherever that happens, I mean, there's earthquake activity, tectonic plates moving back and forth, something going on in the Indian Ocean coming up this week. New storm surges down around the Caribbean and that area of the world. More storm surges, not as severe as what we just saw with Nicole coming up towards Florida, but it's like more storm surging. More aggressive action from Russia and Putin, but this will be squelched pretty quickly. So got some aggressive things coming up here this week from Russia. New vaccine availability for RSV. I think that's that respiratory virus. It was affecting a lot of children. I see many more vaccine availability. And the rebounding of the stock market looks like it's going to continue. So, on this program I talked about the recession or potential recession, kind of going in some cycles, not being as severe. So it looks like we're in the stock market, we're going to see kind of some good things happening and a bit of a rebounding. It's going to go through another cycle. But good things looks like still for the stock market in terms of a bit of a rebound. And number 1 in the countdown, do you have anything your guides want to share for this week? Share all of your experiences as you have them and as they take place. This will enrich the lives of those around you and reach individuals you have no knowledge of. And this is the way the universe works. So on that note, we'll conclude the show being recorded for Sunday, November 13th, 2022. As always, you need to reach me. Go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the Book a Session tab. Want to wish everybody a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. Take care. Look forward to seeing you soon.